for the pharmaceutical industry, financial industry. And his close ties with Rubin of Citibank, so he gave money to them, close ties to Goldman Sachs, close ties to Merrill Lynch, to Lehman. This is our own senator. And we do nothing about it in the so-called independent state of Montana, Steve. So what are we supposed to say? Our health is terrible because Max doesn't really care about our health. But he has no problem saying that we're going to make sure that the government takes over your health and make sure, he says, that the pharmaceutical industry will give you $80 billion over 10 years. When that happens, Steve, you and I will be angels, right?
Well, I got to tell you something. It's the biggest destruction of what I would say the ability for anybody to get realistic health care. And you know what will happen, Steve? People will be forced to do what they're doing now. That same hip replacement, a friend of mine, one of my best friends for 20 years, went to India. And India has, believe it or not, some of the best doctors, and it's not, you know, the contemporary thinking of India, but India is an amazing country, especially with some of their history of medicine. But the thing is, it costs, I think, $20,000. He said a fourth or a fifth of what it would cost me.
Correct. And not only are they going to India, they're going now to Brazil, they're going to Singapore. That's correct. So it's cheaper to fly overseas, get an operation, being taken care of much more effectively than it is to come to a destructive medical system where our poor physicians who are trained and basically will not get reimbursed. And here's the new health plan, which is really amazing to me. It's what you said once to rob Peter to get Paul. Basically, they're going to take money from Medicare reimbursements to the hospitals and physicians who already have only 40% reimbursements. Mind you, that any man who went into medicine, a woman who went to medicine for money, has to have their head examined. Really has to have their head examined, because there are better ways to make money than to go into medical school and spend 10 to 20 years of your life training for this. And whatever they get reimbursed, most of these physicians would deserve it, but they're getting only 40% of that.
I can tell you a story of an anesthesiologist, and he's got a bunch, and he's in Texas. I won't say which town, but he's waiting to be reimbursed for the past 3 years. Medicare owes him $8 million.
I believe it.
$8 million. And he's had to get congressmen, senators, everybody, and they still don't pay off. So, ladies and gentlemen, when you all say, oh, we're going to have free medical care, you're going to have free medical care. You know what it's going to be? You're going to have a one-way ticket into a pine box, because they're sure not going to waste their money on a real box, or basically some new form of getting rid of corpses. And everybody, that's what is astonishing. And, Steve, you probably know this, but the government officials will be exempt from the very thing that everyone else will have to abide by.
You hit it right on the head, Steve. Let me just interrupt you. This is interesting. 3 days ago, the Democrats who passed this health bill said to each other, well, which of us are going to sign on to this very health bill that we want the American public to sign on to? And you know what? None of them signed on to it.
Right.
Why should they? You know what they do? They pay $10 to $20 to go to Navy Bethesda Hospital or Walter Reed, and at the same time, these poor, precious little congressmen and senators of ours, because they're so precious and they're such in danger zone, they have their own physician on Capitol Hill to make sure that they're in good shape. Yep. Now, do you have a physician of your own? I don't. And I'm a physician.
You and I both have, when I say that, you and I both have access to natural...
Yeah, but we don't have a permanent physician to take care of us. Most of our listening audience doesn't even have access to health care.
No, that's true. And so
on probability alone, I would say 90% of our listening audience, which are intelligent men and women who've made their own living and have worked hard, because I know who they are, and I know what they like, I will bet you cannot get to a doctor or to a nurse and effectively be treated within the next 24 hours for any given disease or not. Whatever plan they have, be it a private plan where the private hospitals are ripping you off, the insurance company, or the government on the VA system, where I know my friends are running it. So we have a corrupt private system that doesn't want to reimburse, but makes all of their money off of our premiums, yet we say nothing about it. Why should we? Max Baucus gets most of the money from the insurance companies. So does Dodd. So does that Wax.
Yeah. Everybody out there. See, that's the point. You brought up the greed word, okay? Mm-hmm. The greed word still is the motivating factor in all this, and the point is, as you know, with the Codex Alimentarius and all of the proposals that have been put out there, floated. Now, I want to share this with you, Steve. It is in the healthcare provision and bill, especially that if you do not take a forced vaccination when ordered to do so under a declared global pandemic, you will be basically quarantined in a prison camp, okay?
Yeah.
That is there. And so what you and I are talking about, the word freedom, see, if people, I say this and people say, oh, you're crazy. I don't think I'm crazy. The bottom line is you have the right in this country right now, in their eyes, simply to die. But I say, hey, with that attitude, guys, who's going to pay for all your bills? And who do you go to when rape, pillage, and plunder have put the country under, and basically you still think that you're somehow being these benevolent dictators who are looking after the poor dumb sheep, you know? I mean, seriously, it's rape, pillage, and plunder.
No, I agree with you, Steve. The problem is, you know, you and I talk about it, and I wish we had a call-in system where we could talk to the audience, but you get the emails, and I'm glad you do, and I see some of them. But the real issue is, I don't really know. I'm very frustrated, as you well know, and you can hear, and the audience knows this. It's not a secret. I'm frustrated to know that the American public has really done nothing to stand up for its own interests. I mean, you and I can shout till we're blue in the face, and you and I know that you and I, and we've talked about it, and you've asked me before, and some have asked me, am I not afraid to be killed or assassinated or be brought up on charges of treason? I said, no, not because I'm particularly brave, not because I have something different from anybody else or I know somebody. It's simply because if I can't state what I'm doing now, then I'd want to know what it is that I served my country for 30-some-odd years under 5 presidents. It negates everything I stood for.
Right, and that's got to be...
Not because I'm righteous, not because I was this or that, but simply because I fought for the right to be able to say what I'm saying today. You want to take me out? Try to take me out. You want to arrest me? Arrest me, which you did once before. But by God, I will go down for the 9th time saying what I want to say, better than be a servant to a state that will tell me what I have to do. Now, am I peculiar? Am I crazy? Am I the one who's nuts? I'm a psychiatrist. You know what they say about shrinks. We're not all there. Now, am I crazy to believe that I have the particular right, that I fought for that right, to serve my country 8 different times voluntarily, never got a pension, refused a pension, refused to be promoted, but came willingly back into the service to help our men to more effectively fight. And now I say we have the problem internally. I have seen the enemy, and the enemy is us. Is that right, Pogo?
Absolutely.
And so what is the problem, Steve? Where have you and I gone wrong?
I don't think we've gone wrong. I think what's happened is I get these emails. My favorite hate it for the day email is, well, we ought to do something. I say, look, I've been on talk radio for 15 years dealing with everything I got to deal with, and what have you done? Well, I support you by listening to me. Well, that you know, no kidding. I get those, Steve. I get.
I'm laughing because I don't know what that means.
Well, that's like saying, you know, you might as well look for pink elephants floating in blue water and think it's something new and I mean, it's totally irrelevant. I think the idea, though, this is the issue, is that when you have a society, and I got to tell you, you're the psychiatrist. Right. When you have a country or a group of people that become pleasure-oriented and entertainment-dominated, and absolutely have lost track of all history by being dumbed down by, quote, public education. This is my chief complaint. The bottom line is, when you don't know how you got where you got, you will not realize until it's too late that you lost everything that someone else fought, died for. And like you, I think of you every time I think when your name comes up, I said, it's got to drive Steve crazy, Dr. Steve, to look at everything he's done. And, you know, I mean, you and I both know, and you know, Steve, that I know a lot of people. Is that a fair statement? Because again, you're on the show, by the way, for my knowledge. I left the airwaves, and only because of when I say this, I had to pay through July. But I wanted one last shot, and thank you. I wanted one last 2-hour special with you to say, look it, and you lay it out so beautifully and so eloquently. You see, when I say this is going on behind the scenes, they say, oh, how does he know? Or then the feds come on board and want me to, divulge the sources, and I say, come on, you guys.
The truth is, I come out, and it's not, we're not a mutual admiration society, but we do appreciate what each one has done, and it's been very frustrating. The answer is no, Steve Quayle is not wrong. The system is so corrupt that at this point, it's not because I happen to know secrets above secrets. I know many of these people in Washington. I know much of how the military works and national security apparatus. I know about the NSA. I know about the CIA. I know about the White House.